All right, hey everyone. So for this deep dive, we are going to a place that I think a lot of you are really going to want to visit after we talk about it.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
We're going to be talking about Kwahu in Ghana.
Okay.
And specifically, we're going to be using this academic article called Bosumpra Revisited, 12,500 Years on the Kwahu Plateau, Ghana, as our main source here.
Yeah, that's a fascinating article. Very in-depth.
Yeah. And it basically convinced me I need to go to Kwahu now.
I know, right?
This looks amazing.
It is really cool.
So this cave, Bosumpra Cave, they found evidence of human activity going back 12,500 years.
It's incredible, isn't it?
I mean, that just blows my mind. People have been living there and using this cave since 10,500 BC.
At least. Yeah.
All the way up to the 17th century AD.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's still in use today.
I know.
Okay.
Just the continuity of that.
That's what really strikes me, is this idea of continuity.
Yeah.
That it's not just a snapshot in time. It's this continuous thread.
Yeah.
Connecting generations across millennia.
And they found, the article doesn't just talk about the cave, but it uses the cave as this lens to explore the wider history of the Kwahu Plateau.
Absolutely.
And the people, who have called this place home.
Exactly.
And one of the things they talk about is how they found pottery dating back to 10,000 BC.
Yeah, which is much earlier than previously thought.
Right. That's insane. So the traditional view, I guess, was that the late Stone Age was divided into these two phases.
Right, the aceramic and then the ceramic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea was that pottery kind of came along much later.
But this just blows that whole theory out of the water.
It really does.
Yeah.
It challenges a lot of our assumptions.
Yeah, so what does this mean then? What are the implications of finding pottery this early?
Well, I think it really changes how we think about why pottery was developed in the first place.
Okay.
A lot of the traditional theories kind of linked it to very specific purposes, like, processing fish or storing cereals.
Right.
Right. But the fact that it appears so early at Bosumpra suggests that maybe other resources, like yams, for instance, might have played a role, and that the whole story of pottery in West Africa is much more complex than we originally thought.
So we're already seeing that just this one site is really forcing us to rethink how we understand the past.
Absolutely.
So what else did they find? They talk about all these different artifacts that they found in the cave.
Yeah, it's like this treasure trove of information,
Yeah.
They found these tiny stone tools called geometric microliths.
Okay.
They were probably used for a whole variety of different tasks.
Okay.
And then there are these polished stone axes called celts.
Oh.
And those actually changed in size and style over time.
Oh, interesting.
Which suggests, technological advancements.
Yeah.
So all of these artifacts, along with the pottery, they really give us a glimpse into how life in this region evolved over thousands of years.
Yeah, so it's not just a snapshot, like you said.
Exactly.
It's this continuous...
It's a process. It's a story that's unfolding.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting how they talk about connections to other regions that they can see through the pottery.
The pottery decoration,
Yeah. They found this specific technique called peigné-fileté rigide.
Yeah.
And this involves using a twisted cord. And it turns out it's also found in early Saharan pottery.
Yeah, so it's fascinating because it really highlights this idea that even in ancient times, people and cultures were connected across vast distances.
Right.
So it challenges this notion that we sometimes have of isolated populations.
Right.
And it suggests this much more interconnected Africa than we often imagine,
Yeah.
To think that there were these similar pottery techniques being used in Ghana and the Sahara thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
It's really quite mind-boggling.
Yeah, it makes you realize that this wasn't just some isolated outpost.
Right.
That it was part of this larger network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of trade and exchange and cultural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that actually leads into something I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
So for someone who's listening to this who loves to visit historical sites, what else besides Bosumpra Cave would you recommend that they go see in Kwahu?
Well, there are a couple of other places that immediately come to mind that I think would be really fascinating to visit.
Okay, let's hear it.
For starters, we have to talk about the Earthworks.
Oh, yeah. I was reading about those.
Yeah, these are these mysterious ancient structures that are found throughout southern Ghana.
Right.
And there are a number of significant ones in the Kwahu region.
Okay.
And they're basically these large elliptical enclosures formed by, deep trenches and these raised earthen banks.
Yeah.
And some of them are absolutely enormous. Like, we're talking almost a kilometer long in some cases.
Oh, wow.
So imagine standing within one of these massive earthworks,
Yeah.
feeling the weight of history beneath your feet, and trying to unravel the secrets that they hold.
It's like a real-life archaeological puzzle.
Yeah, for a long time, people thought that they were defensive structures, like built to protect against slave raiding.
Oh, okay.
But more recent research has suggested that they might have been part of this much larger and more complex pre-Atlantic socio-political system.
Okay.
So perhaps they were ceremonial spaces or markers of territorial boundaries or even something else entirely.
Right.
We still have a lot to learn about these enigmatic structures.
Yeah, that's what I find so interesting is the mystery.
Yeah.
Like, it really sparks your imagination.
It does.
It makes you wonder, who built these?
Yeah.
And what were they used for?
Exactly. And that's part of what makes them so intriguing.
Okay, so that's the earthworks. You also mentioned, I think, Bonomanso.
Yes, Bonomanso. This is thought to be one of the oldest Akan states, dating back to at least the 13th century.
Okay.
And it was the capital of the Bono state. And archaeologists have identified 3 distinct occupation phases there, spanning from the 13th to the 18th century.
Wow.
So, visiting Bonomanso allows you to actually trace the evolution of this important Akan state through those layers of history.
Right, so it's not just ancient history.
Exactly.
That we're talking about here.
It's not. It extends into more recent centuries.
Right.
And connects to the present in a very real way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm finding so compelling about Kwahu, is that it's not just about...
It's not just one thing.
One period or one site.
Yeah.
It's about how these different pieces of the puzzle fit together to form a complete picture.
Exactly.
Right. So you can explore the ancient past of Bosumpra, then you can journey through the centuries at sites like Bonomanso and the earthworks.
Yeah.
And see how they all connect to the Kwahu of today.
Right. And speaking of the Kwahu of today,
we
can't forget about the living culture that thrives in this region.
Yes, that's what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, it's this amazing depth of history, but it's not just about dusty relics. It's about how those relics connect to the living people.
To living culture, yeah, exactly. And the Kwahu Plateau itself is just this place of stunning natural beauty. You have rolling hills, lush forests, dramatic cliffs.
Oh, wow.
And the Kwahu people have this really rich cultural heritage that they've preserved through the centuries.
Okay.
And so you have these vibrant festivals, traditional music and dance, exquisite craftsmanship.
Oh, wow.
All of these things are expressions of this enduring cultural legacy.
I was like, a trip to Kwahu is not just a journey through time.
Right.
It's also an immersion in a living culture.
Absolutely.
That's inextricably linked to that history.
It is. It's this remarkable blend of past and present.
So you can explore the ancient past and then experience the modern-day expressions of that culture.
Exactly. And one particular festival comes to mind, the Kwahu Easter Paragliding Festival.
Oh, wow. What is that?
Yeah, so people come from all over the world to witness these paragliders soaring above this stunning landscape.
Oh, wow.
It creates this incredible spectacle of color and motion against the backdrop of the Kwahu Plateau.
That sounds amazing.
It's really something special.
Wow.
And it's a real testament to the Kwahu people's ability to embrace both tradition and innovation.
I love that.
Yeah, and then there's the traditional music and dance, which are equally captivating.
Right.
They have such a diverse range of styles, each with its own unique rhythms and movements, reflecting the various influences that have shaped Kwahu culture over time.
That's so cool.
It is. And then, of course, we have to mention the crafts.
Yeah.
The intricate beadwork, the beautifully woven textiles, this skillfully carved wooden sculptures.
Wow.
These are not just objects, they're expressions of cultural identity.
Right.
Passed down through generations.
It's incredible to think how, like, the echoes of the past resonate through these artistic traditions, right? So the present generation is connected to the artistry and the skills of their ancestors.
Yeah, that connection is palpable.
Yeah.
And it's not just in the arts and crafts.
Right.
It's woven into the very fabric of their lives.
It's amazing.
It is.
As we're talking about this connection between past and present, it makes me think about something that I read in the article about Bosumpra Cave.
Oh, okay. What's that?
The fact that people are still using the cave today.
I know, it's incredible.
As a place of worship.
Yeah.
Like, it just blows my mind that this ancient cave, which has witnessed so much human history, is still serving as this place of connection.
It's amazing.
Community.
It really is a testament to that profound connection between people and place.
Yeah.
You know, Bosumpra is more than just a physical space. It's a repository of memory.
Yeah.
It's a place where the stories of generations past are woven into the very fabric of the cave itself. And the fact that people still gather there today, finding solace and inspiration in that space, I think it speaks volumes about the enduring power of those stories.
I mean, that just gives me chills.
It is powerful.
To think about being in that cave, surrounded by the echoes of 12,500 years of human history.
Yeah.
And to know that people are still finding meaning there today.
It's a powerful experience.
Yeah, it's not just about sightseeing.
It's not, no.
It's about experiencing that continuity of human experience, that connection to something larger than ourselves.
And Kwahu, with its layered history, its vibrant culture, its stunning landscape, it offers a particularly rich and multifaceted opportunity for that kind of experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, as we've been talking, I was thinking about how the article also mentions that Kwahu was located on this key trade route.
Oh, right, yeah.
That connected it to
all sorts of other places.
Yeah, so it wasn't some isolated backwater.
It wasn't, no.
Even in ancient times.
No.
It was this crossroads.
It was a crossroads.
And cultures.
Yeah. The Kwahu Plateau's position within the landscape made it this natural corridor for movement and trade.
Right.
And there was this major route that actually passed right through Kwahu, connecting Accra to Kumasi.
Oh.
And this is believed to be the successor of a route that dates back to at least the 16th century.
Wow.
Maybe even earlier.
So imagine all the people and the ideas and the goods that passed through Kwahu over the centuries.
It's mind-boggling.
So it wasn't just connected to other parts of Africa.
Right.
It was linked to the wider world.
Through these trade networks, yeah.
Through these trade networks.
Absolutely.
And the article actually lists a bunch of different things that were traded through Kwahu.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
They had slaves, gold, ivory, beads, leather, schnapps, cola nuts, gunpowder, blankets, fish, salt, like the list goes on.
Wow.
So it was really this hub of activity connected to the larger trade networks of West Africa.
Right, including the trans-Saharan trade and eventually the Atlantic trade.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to think about how these ancient trade routes really shaped the history of this region, right?
Absolutely.
Like connecting people and cultures across these vast distances.
It really adds another dimension to that idea of Kwahu as a crossroads of cultures.
It does, yeah. And it's a reminder that like history is never static.
It's not. It's always in motion.
It's always in motion.
With people, ideas, goods constantly flowing and intermingling.
So we've talked about like the deep history.
Yeah.
The vibrant culture, the stunning landscape, and these fascinating trade connections.
Right.
Is there anything else about Kwahu that we should mention? Anything that really stands out as being unique to this region?
Well, the article does touch briefly on the origins of the Kwahu people themselves.
Oh, okay.
And it's a fascinating story.
Okay.
Their oral traditions speak of migrations and conquests and alliances.
Right.
With different groups coming together to form the Kwahu that we know today.
So it sounds like it was a real melting pot.
It does indeed.
Of cultures.
Yeah.
Even in its early history.
It reinforces this idea that history isn't just about dates and facts.
Right.
It's about people.
Yeah.
Their stories, their struggles, their triumphs.
And those stories are still being told today.
They are.
Through, you know, the traditions, the festivals, the music, the dance.
Yeah, the very way of life of the Kwahu people.
Yeah.
Their history is a living, breathing thing.
Wow.
Woven into the fabric of their daily lives.
So for someone listening who's really intrigued by Kwahu and wants to learn more, like, where would you suggest they start? Where can they kind of delve deeper into this history and culture?
Well, the article we've been talking about is an excellent starting point, obviously.
Yeah.
It's packed with detailed information.
Bosumpra Revisited.
Bosumpra Revisited, yeah. And there are other books and articles available that delve deeper into specific aspects of Kwahu's history.
Okay.
Like the origins of the Akan people, the Earthworks, the trade networks. You know, a good library or online search should yield a wealth of resources for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, and I bet there's probably a lot online, too, in terms of like
Oh, absolutely.
websites and travel blogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For people who want to actually visit.
Exactly. If you're planning a trip, a quick online search will turn up all sorts of helpful resources.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground here in this deep dive.
We have.
And hopefully we've sparked our listeners' curiosity about Kwahu.
I hope so.
Any final thoughts you want to leave them with?
Just this. History is not just something we read about in books. It's all around us, waiting to be discovered.
Ooh.
And places like Kwahu offer us this unique opportunity to step back in time and experience that history firsthand, to connect with the people who came before us, and to gain a deeper understanding of our own place in the world.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Appreciate it.
So to our listener, I hope this deep dive has inspired you to add Kwahu to your travel bucket list.
Yeah, definitely.
Go explore those ancient caves, marvel at those mysterious earthworks, immerse yourself in the vibrant Kwahu culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let the echoes of history guide you on this unforgettable journey.
I love it.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.